Welcome back to the channel. It's been a while since I made a video. I have a couple of them sitting around that I just need to do some commentary on, but this is the first one, and it's called the Brooksville Circuit Race. And what's cool about this one is it's one race out of a 3-race series that is a timed stage race, which is pretty unique for Florida. We typically don't have timed stage races here. We have point systems where, you know, they offer the time trial, but a lot of times that it doesn't really affect the overall results of the actual series. So with this one, everybody needs to do a time trial if they want to be placed in the overall. So with me being a pretty strong time trialist, I went into this race feeling pretty confident with how my results were going to be. But I know the talent here in Florida is always difficult. And I'll tell you one thing about Florida is it's very unique because we have a lot of people that live here year-round that are great cyclists, and then our races tend to bring in a lot of talent from the outside due to the weather and just tourism and things like that. So we have, in this race, we have Best Buddies, we have my team Amino Rip, we have Skyline Racing out of California, we have out of Northern California Ride Bikes Bro. So it's a pretty good lineup in this race. Now, this is like a late season race. I think we had one more race after this at the Lion's Den in Sacramento. But for most people, this was kind of the end of the season. I think maybe the state road race was after this, but for Florida. But everybody else, I think they're kind of dialing back at this point. Going into this race, you know, day one, it was hot. And I really had plans to follow wheels rather than be the wheel to follow, and it ended up working out pretty good in this race. Typically I'm pretty aggressive in my racing, and I like to try to force breakaways where maybe, you know, I'm pretty well marked and a lot of people chase my wheels, and I just don't have that extra oomph to get away from everybody. So in this particular race, I decided to follow the wheels of Best Buddies and try to get up the road with him, which that was successful. Now, once I got up the road with him, we got up, you know, we formed a breakaway pretty early. It actually worked out nice, and you'll see that a little bit later. My teammate Owen Shot at the time, my coach also, kind of really set me up in the best position possible to bridge the gap to Michael Hernandez. So as you see, Michael is following a lot of the moves, and I'm just following his moves. And that's what my plan was, to be his shadow for the race and see if we could get up the road to take a win. Now, like I said, this is day one, so a lot of the, you know, the race depends on this day. You really want to try to, if you can, get a breakaway in this, because then you'll be a little bit more comfortable throughout the stage race. If you don't have the best time trial or you get bad positioning in the road race, you can really you can make up some time here in that circuit race. So as like I said, I sat back, my teammate went up the road, a couple people went around and chased, and I'm sitting on Owen's wheel at this point. And we're kind of bridging this gap to the lead group that just attacked off the front. Our teammate James is in that lead group, so I think he's not going full gas, but this isn't really that big of a threatening move. But I did lose the wheel of Best Buddies, so if you look at it that way, that could be very risky. So Owen's bringing me back, keeping the pace relatively high. We're in low 30s, so a lot of the race is strung out behind. At this point, there's some hesitation within the peloton, and I see an opening, and I see up the road that Mike is there. So I launched my attack to bridge that gap to Mike, and as I'm passing him, I give him the heads up, let's go, because this is exactly what I wanted from the beginning of the race. Let's get up the road with 2-3 guys, do a rotating pace line, put some time into the race, and go into day 2 feeling pretty comfortable with a relatively good time gap. And that's what we did. I think we ended up putting a minute on the field, but I made some poor decisions game time leaving my house. I ended up leaving my time trial bike at home, and I'm pretty dialed into my time trial bike where I think if I brought that, I might have been able to make up those extra seconds that I lost coming in second place for the time trial in the morning. So overall, not a bad weekend. Ended up getting second place for the whole series. So second place for day 1, second place in the time trial, and I think I got like 8th place in the road race. And that gave me enough time to hold on to the second overall. Mike ended up getting first from Best Buddies, and third place, I believe, was my teammate James, which had a really good time trial Sunday morning and a good road race. So kudos to everybody that races. I'm looking forward to another season. Just doing the base miles as everybody else should, building that foundation. There's a lot of racing going on in Miami right now. I haven't really done a whole lot of it, but I am doing some road race series right now in January and thinking about going to Valley of the Sun in Arizona. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching, as always.